Let's talk about how webhook integrations work within Gecko. We're going to go through the setup. We'll then have a look at how this works and discuss how these can be triggered in various ways. Let's begin by going to Settings, Integrations, and clicking New Integration in the top right hand corner, and we're going to select the webhooks card. To begin with, give your integration a name. So we'll call this webhook integration. I'm not very good with names. You then choose and enter the endpoint of your where you'd like your the endpoint for your webhook to be sent to. If, like me, you're testing, there are a ton of free applications out there that will allow you to post requests to them. So go ahead and enter that. You can enter an auth key and an auth value, and we come to the first and most important part of the entire video. What type of data and what formatting or encoding do you want to apply whenever you're pushing data to your endpoint? Would you like this to be JSON, a form array, or in XML format? And we actually allow you to customize the XML structure as you go. Once you've selected your encoding type, just go ahead and hit save, and you can then choose to map your Gecko contact fields to various labels that are going to be included in your webhook. So for example, we could say, if I was wanting to write this to tribal sits, for example, we could say that, well, we definitely need the first name, and this might be the name of the first name field, and I want to map that to the Gecko full name contact field, and specifically the first name. We could also do the same for last name. We'll call this last name, and that maps to the Gecko full name last name. Let's also do email address, because that's a good classic one. Email address, and we'll map this to the email. Now, once you've created your fields, and of course feel free to go wild with this, you can add as many of these fields to be mapped as you'd like. There are three different ways in which the webhook integration can be activated in Gecko. The first way is highly manual, very individual. It can be only done one at a time, and that's to go into the contacts that you want to sync. Click the integrations button on the contact overview page in the top right hand corner and tell Gecko that you want to push this to your integration that we set up. If we go back over to our webhook, we can see we've had the following data sent to us. So those external IDs on the left hand side, and they're the actual values relative to the student right here. So far, so easy. There are two other ways you can trigger these as well. You could, for example, go to a form. You could set the form to sync automatically in the integrations tab, and you could say anytime a submission comes in, I want to sync this automatically. The third and most important way, which is probably the most robust because this applies to all parts of Gecko, so events, forms, broadcasts, call scripts, and core campaigns, is to actually create a workflow on whatever you're running. So for example, if we had an event and we wanted to sync all of the contacts who sign up to this event automatically, trigger a webhook, we could create a workflow on the actual event itself that has whatever conditions we'd like, but crucially in the actions, sync to CRM, and specifically the webhook. And now anyone who joins this event is automatically going to trip that integration and push whatever details we've mapped. Now, the final thing to really talk about with webhooks is pertinent to XML. In fact, this is relevant to all parts of the webhook, sorry. If we scroll down to the bottom of the page, you can tell Gecko when you want this to trigger. So do we not want to sync anything? Do we want this to be entirely manual when we want to trip this? Or do we want Gecko to sync contacts or sync responses? So make sure this is configured and you've saved your preferences. Now, if you do plan on using XML, make sure that you do have a structure defined. So, for example, if we had an envelope structured like this, it's going to vary depending on the system that you're wanting to push your webhook to, but you have full autonomy to say this is the field name or the attribute name within the system. Let's get this sorted. And if you're wanting to tell Gecko to pull a particular contact value into here, you just make note of the external ID here, for example. So we might say what it is, these are first name. So curly braces, first name. And this is much like mail merge tags, and this will tell Gecko which value that's mapped on this particular integration to pull into the XML.